Hey everyone, welcome to Long Game Yoga. Ken here. This flow, we're going to focus on some gentle back bends. This is something that I know a lot of people really enjoy and a lot of people really need. Our lifestyle these days tends to hunch us forward, right? We're on our devices all the time. We're on our laptops, we're driving, we're doing all these things that are, forcing us to do this. And one of the things that we're going to do with this flow is just open up the back a little bit, particularly that upper back, which gets really tight and sort of naturally wants to move in that direction a little bit, right? So it's got that curve in the spine. So what we're going to do is we're going to use two blocks. We're going to use a strap handy. I don't know if I'll use it, but you may want to use it if you've got one. We're going to start in a back bend over some blocks. So the way we set that up is we put one block on the tall height and then one on the medium height. This goes under the back of the head. This goes under the bottom of the shoulder blades. And it takes a little bit of futzing just to get right. So you just want everything stable. And if this is too much opening for you, you can always drop everything down one height like that. It'll be a little more of a gentle opening. If you want a deeper opening, you could put both blocks at the same height. So it's really up to you how much you need, how much you want on this one. So just carefully come down on the blocks. It's usually best to get that shoulder one feeling right, and it's sort of right under where the heart is. And then you just reach back, make sure that one under the head is fully back there. It's stable, your head's not tipping, you're not straining in your neck. And then from here, you can just bring your arms out to the side. Palms are facing up to the ceiling. You can have your legs straight here. You can, if you want, you could bend your legs. Either way is fine. Really, whatever's comfortable for you. And then one thing you might notice here is that the further away you bring your hands from your sides, the more of a opening you're going to feel across that collarbone area. And that's really kind of what we're looking for, because that's telling us that we're getting that back bend that we're looking for. Back bend is really, in a lot of ways, you hear this in yoga a lot. It's a heart opening, right? So you feel it across the chest area. And make sure that the block that's underneath your shoulders is toward the bottom end of your shoulders, right? And I tend to get confused with that sort of geography there, meaning the part of your shoulder blades that's closest to your hips. And if anything's going on with your back, of course, modify anything that you need from this. And then just relax for a moment. Really let everything settle down on these blocks. And maybe this is enough. If you want to just stay like this and enjoy the benefits of this, you'll get them. And this is one of those things too, that if you wanted to get this setup going in just 5 minutes every day, maybe at the end of the day, it can feel really nice. And then from here, let's just kind of get the legs working a little bit, right? So I want to bring my legs into that Tadasana shape. So I want the big toes, the mounds of the big toe pointing forward. I'm going to pull the pinky toe side edge of the foot back, press the heels down into the mat, and then press the thigh bones down toward the mat as well. Feel the kneecaps pull up towards your hips. Keep the breath moving, nice and smooth here. And we'll take another full round of breath before we move on. You can always, like I said, stay here longer if you like. Nice long inhale, nice long exhale. And then to come off, bend your legs, plant your feet, and then kind of roll off toward one side. You can move those blocks out of the way. What we're going to do next is we're going to sit in our hero's pose. Virasana is the Sanskrit for it. And what that is we're going to take one of the blocks on the wide medium height, and I'm going to just put my sit bones down on it. Now, if you don't find this comfortable at all, and a lot of people don't, because this can be, it can be intense on the knees, what you can do is either put two blocks there, stack up two nice and stable, or you could sit cross-legged. Either way, that's fine. So first, sit up nice and tall. So feel the length of your spine here. Try and get the shoulders stacked above the hips. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our hands behind us. This is where that strap can come in handy. If you have a hard time interlacing with your hands behind the back, you can hold the strap. So that would look like this. If you feel comfortable and your shoulders are cool with it, you can just interlace your hands, or you could just have the palms facing one another. Stay nice and straight here, and then start to reach the hands back behind you. So I'm lifting them up. I'll turn sideways just so you can see what that looks like. Interlacing, and then I'm lifting the knuckles up away from my lower back. But what I'm not trying to do is come into a back bend here, right? I want to keep this in the shoulders a little bit. So keeping those low ribs knit in. Maybe lift them up a little bit higher, roll the shoulders back. Try not to puff the ribs. And then you can just go ahead and let that go. We'll roll the shoulders a little bit front to back and back to front. And then go ahead, move everything out of the way. We're going to find our regular tabletop. This is part of every flow because I think it's so good for the back and the spine. Get the hands under the shoulders, get the knees under the hips, press the tops of the feet, that shoelace area if you picture sneakers. Pressing that down into the mat. And then go ahead, just drop the belly, lift the hips, lift the gaze. See if you can remember what it felt like to have those blocks under there. And then start to round in the opposite direction. Coming through this cat. We'll take this a couple times. Just moving nice and slow. Slowly. Rounding. Making this nice wave motion. Kind of sweep up from one vertebrae to the next and to the next. There's 3 layers of muscles that run along the spine. One on top of another. And this should start to wake them up. Pull that heart forward when you're in your cow. And then when you're in your cat, really pull the shoulder blades apart from one another. We'll do one more round. And then we'll come back to our regular tabletop. And then we're just going to tuck our toes underneath here, lift the hips up and back. You may need to step your feet back a little bit. We're just finding our downward facing dog. So really just think about getting long in the back. And the way to do that is to really imagine getting longer from your wrist creases all the way to your sit bones. Another thing I usually like to do is come up high onto the balls of the feet, lift the hips a little higher, and then push them back a little farther, then drop the heels. Gives you that extra length. Imagining that we're adding a little bit of space between each vertebrae. And then go ahead, roll forward to a plank pose. We're just going to hold it for around a breath or so. Nice strong plank. So you're pushing through the heels. You're pulling the quads to the bone. You're pulling those inner thighs toward one another. You're not letting the hips sink. You're not letting the hips pike. And then we'll lower all the way down to the mat. And then from here, let's come up into our Sphinx pose. So in Sphinx, we're bringing the elbows a little bit ahead of the shoulders. The forearms are parallel to one another. You can spread the fingers wide. And then start to activate the legs again. So press the tops of the feet into the mat. Kneecaps lift. Legs are firmed up. And then think about that broadening across the collarbones again. So pulling that heart forward. Really getting into that upper back area. Now that top part of the spine between the shoulder blades, the way it's built, it doesn't really want to move easily in this direction. That's why it's easier for it to hunch forward, which is why we want to train the muscles around it to go in this direction. And then from here, we're going to see if we can keep a little bit of height and then just slide the hands back, bringing the hands to the low ribs, rolling the shoulders back, pinning the elbows together. This is a regular traditional low cobra. And then you can just bring your forehead to the mat. We're going to push through a plank, come back to down dog. You can always push up back to a tabletop if you like. When you're ready, use the exhale and see if you can get your belly to move first. So exhale, belly lifts, come up to plank, come back to down dog. Take a round of breath here in this down dog. Nice long stretch in this down dog. Let's do this one more time. So this time we're rolling forward again, back to plank, then lower down nice and slowly all the way. This time, go ahead, bring your hands down by your hips. Put the palms on the mat, knuckles are pointing up to the ceiling. Start to activate the legs. Pull the navel to the spine and then peel the head, neck, and chest away from the mat. So here, roll the shoulders back, but then come up on your tented fingertips. And then float the arms up. Palms are facing one another. If you do want to grab a strap again, you could do that. If you can interlace comfortably, go ahead and do that. Maybe put the opposite thumb on top. Pulling that heart forward. Pulling that navel up to the spine to firm up the core. And then we'll exhale, let that go. Bring the hands by the low ribs. Option this time, if you want to, instead of pushing up through a plank, you could push up into an upward facing dog. So with that, you just straighten into the arms. So I'm just on the palms of my hands and the tops of my feet. My knees are not on the ground. I'm letting those hips swing down and forward, pulling the heart forward. And then from here, we're up and over the toes, coming back to down dog. Take a nice long stretch here in this down dog. And then looking forward, let's bring our feet to our hands. You can step, you can hop. Inhale, let's come into a halfway lift and let's pause here. Let's break this down for just a moment. Bring a little more weight to the front of your feet. Feel the hamstrings working, but also feel the back muscles working. So we're starting to get in there. We've been warming those muscles already. Imagine that your back is straight. So the spine itself is curved, but imagine the back is nice and straight. Like someone could put a 2x4 on your back and it would just sit there. The longer we hold it, the more those muscles are working. And then you can go ahead, exhale, fold all the way over, and we're just going to hang here for a minute. So you may want to separate your feet a little bit, hips width, or maybe even a little bit wider. I'll tell you one thing I really like to do here, and you could, cross your arms and swing the torso. I like to interlace the fingers behind the head and traction out the neck a little bit. That extra little weight on the back of the head, the base of the skull, gets a nice stretch in that upper spine, the cervical spine. Maybe sway the torso. And then go ahead, release the hands. You can walk the feet back in a little bit if you want to. And then on an inhale, we're going to see if we can come up with a nice flat back. Hands come to heart center. Let's inhale the arms up. Exhale, swan dive to a forward fold. Inhale back to that halfway lift. Hold it for a full round of breath. So nice slow inhale. Nice slow exhale. And then forward fold again. Inhale, push down through your feet as you lift the torso. Hands come to heart center. Take a sun salutation here. It's a nice way to just warm up the whole body. Inhale the arms up. Exhale to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And we're going to keep the lift. We're going to plant the hands and step the feet back. So you can step back to a full plank or a modified plank. And then we're going to lower down. You can lower down either all the way down, or you can catch yourself in halfway down in your chaturanga. If you're in chaturanga, the elbows are right in the middle of the rib cage, and then the feet slide back, straightening into the arms. This back bend is up dog. You can also stick with that low cobra. It's up to you. And then we'll all find our way back to our downward facing dog. Trying to neutralize everything again. Push that spine. Lengthen up and back with the hips. Spread the fingers nice and wide here. Gripping the mat. And then looking forward, let's step the right foot to the right hand. And let's go ahead and drop that back knee, untuck the toes. We're going to take our blocks here. And we're just going to line them up, with that front foot thereabouts, and then let the hips swing down and forward. And then roll the shoulders back. So just a nice knee down, low lunge. This stretches across the front hip crease on the left side here, getting into the hip flexor muscles a little bit, giving them a stretch. We'll take another round of breath. And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to tuck that back toe, lift the knee, and we'll keep the hands on the blocks for just a moment to get steady. And here, you may want to heel toe this right foot over to the right just a little bit. You want to be stable. You don't need to be struggling with your balance here. And then you can leave your hands on the blocks, or we're going to reach them behind us. So again, palms are just facing one another, rolling those shoulders back. If you want to interlace again or grab the strap again, you can do that. Feel that broadening across the collarbones. So all this back stuff we're doing in this flow isn't just about the back, because you can't have a back without a front. So it's really the front as well, that heart area, the chest area, the collarbones, that upper back. Nice. And then we're going to bring the hands down, back to the block. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's keep the hands on the blocks on the flattest height. Then let's step back to plank. So hands are on the blocks. We're in our plank. Let's come to the tops of our feet and come back to up dog, except this time with the hands on the blocks. You might feel that the hips can get a little deeper into this, but keep them engaged so you don't want to slam anything into your low back. And then we'll come up and over back to our downward facing dog. If you've got your hands on the blocks, you might notice you can get your heels a little closer to the mat if they weren't already. My heels never touch the mat when I'm in a regular down dog. If I have the blocks, I can feel it. From here, we're going to step forward with the left foot and drop that right knee, untuck the toes. Lift your hands up onto blocks. Let those hips swing down and forward again. And just breathe. Nice long inhale. And then it's the exhale that really lets you get a little deeper into the stretch. Again, now you should be feeling it on the front of your right hip. Keep the breath moving here. Keep the breath nice and long. One more round of breath. And then steadying yourself, we're going to tuck the right toes under, lift that right knee, keeping the hands on the blocks to start. Now I'm getting long from the right heel up through the crown of the head. So we're setting up, this is a diagonal lunge. Nice deep bend in this front leg. I've got the knee right above the ankle. And then get a little lighter on the fingers. And again, we're reaching the hands behind, interlacing again, feeling that nice opening in that upper back area, pulling the heart forward, hinging the torso forward. One more round of breath. And then hands come to the blocks. You can either move them out of the way, or again, we're going to put them on the flat height, step back to plank, and then find our upward facing dog with the hands on the blocks, engaging that core area. And then we'll come up and back. You can move the blocks out of the way. Take a stretch here. And then for a moment, go ahead, drop your knees to the mat. Bring the big toes together. Separate the knees a little bit. We're going to come to a child's pose. Let those shoulders round forward now. So we've been moving the spine in the opposite direction. It's nice to just release for a moment in this direction, allowing for that rounding, allowing for that compression in the chest, a little broadening across the upper back. And then let's reach the hands forward, tuck the toes. We're coming back to down dog. And then we're going to roll forward to plank, finding a nice strong plank, and then slowly lower down to the mat. We're coming back to that Sphinx pose. So this is the second time we're here. See if it feels a little different now that we've opened up the back a little bit more. Pull that heart forward. And you could feel the shoulder blades pulling toward one another. See if you can do that. See if you can make that happen. And then once again, we're going to slide the hands back, stopping at the low ribs for just a moment. And then we're going to reach the hands behind us. You can go ahead and lift them. We'll have the palms facing one another. And then go ahead and lift the feet. So finding this locust pose, rolling those shoulders back, pulling the navel to the spine. So here, this is 100% back work. There's no feet helping. There's no hands helping. It's all the muscles in the back. And then you can go ahead, let that go. Maybe make a little stack with your hands. You can rest your forehead on that stack. We're going to take that again one more time. So we've got this moment where we can rest. And then let's bring those hands down by the hips, palms on the mat. This time, let's see if we can lift everything at the same time. So when you're ready, on the inhale, everything floats up. Maybe tap the toes together. Make sure your feet aren't splaying too much. You can also think about spinning the inner thighs up toward the ceiling. That'll help keep a little bit of broadness in the low back area. We don't want that to get kind of crunched in, so we want to see if we can broaden a bit. Keep the breath flowing here. Don't hold your breath. One more round of breath. Nice inhale. Nice exhale. And again, we'll make that pillow with our hands. This time, go ahead, bend into your legs and just drop the knees from side to side. That way, if anything kind of got in that low back area, this is a nice way to work it out a bit. And then we're going to bring the hands to the low ribs. We're just going to come up to tabletop and then make our way down onto our backs. Have those blocks handy nearby. So what we're going to do is, we did get into our hip flexors a little bit. So what I'm hoping to do is come into our bridge pose. And I'm going to show you a variation of bridge. Let's do one regular active bridge first. So bend your feet, or bend your legs, touch the back of your feet. Bring your hands by your sides, and then just push your hips up. So push them like halfway up to start. See how that feels? Keep your knees together, and then push the hips a little higher. Feeling this nice bridge. And then we'll let that go. And the thing I wanted to show you, if you want to play around with a prop version of this, I find this kind of useful. So you take one block, put it between your feet, take a second block, squeeze it between your thighs, and then take this strap, bring it around the front of the ankles, like this, right? So check out the setup. Blocks between the thighs and the feet, and then come back down. So it's that same shape that we were just in. This time we've got the blocks and the strap. Why do we have those, you might say? Well, it's going to show us a little bit about what this alignment can really feel like. So when you're ready, press into the feet. You're holding the strap, so you're getting this nice connection. Maybe roll one shoulder and then the other underneath. Keep squeezing the block between your thighs, squeezing the block between your feet, pulling on the strap, lifting the hips. And if you're doing this, this should really, hopefully, create a little bit of muscle memory for what this feels like. And then we'll slowly lower the spine to the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Let the hips come down. We're gonna do that one more time. Your choice if you wanna do it again without the props. We can do that. Seeing if you imprinted a little bit of that feeling. So this will be the last active back bend we're taking here. So again, touching the backs of your feet and then push the hips up, roll the shoulders underneath, maybe interlacing or grabbing the edges of the mat. And if you're doing this without the props, imagine the props were there. So you're squeezing the thighs towards one another, keeping the feet in place. Keep the breath moving. Keep that nice little tuck of the chin. And then we'll go ahead, release, lower everything down. You can walk your feet to the outer edge of the mat. Let those knees press together for a moment. This is a position that kind of dishes out that low back area, so it can feel nice. And then we're going to wrap up this flow with a supported bridge. So come back to that same starting spot, but this time we're just lifting the hips and putting one block or two blocks underneath the sacrum. So the sacrum is that flat part of the low back, between the low back and the glutes. Rest everything nice and heavy on there. And then go ahead, float your feet up to the ceiling. And if you're wondering what to do with your arms, you can just have them down by your side, palms up, like we started when we were over the blocks. And you can see this is actually kind of a similar shape to when we were over the blocks at the start of this flow. We've got this nice waterfall shape happening here. Just letting the breath soften. This is a pretty nice shape to hang out in. It's a nice shape to de-stress in. It's also good for sleep. Like if you have sleep issues, and everybody gets those from time to time, coming into this shape, you know, either with blocks or pillows or, you know, the head of your bed, something like that, for a little bit in the evening can help reset the nervous system, calm you down a little bit. There is something soothing about this. I think maybe it's the tuck of the chin. It's reversing the normal relationship of gravity and blood flow in the legs. The heart is above the head, so technically this is also an inversion. And all those have a nice effect on the relaxation part of the nervous system. So you can stay here as long as you like. Otherwise, we'll go ahead, bend the legs, plant the feet, lift the hips enough just to get those blocks out. Lower everything down to the mat. And then since we did some back stuff, let's just finish with a twist. So just go ahead, cross one leg, right leg over the left. We'll scoot the hips to the right, let the knees drop down to the left. I like to let my knees land on a block, just to let the spine come into this fairly gentle twist. For a round or two of breath on this side. So those back bends, we're moving the spine, you know, mostly back and forth in that one plane. And it's nice to even things out by getting a little twist in right here at the end. We'll go ahead, pull those knees back up to the center, uncross, recenter the hips on the mat. This time left leg is crossing over the right. The hips are scooting off to the left, knees dropping down to the right. Maybe that left arm reaches out to the side. You can just look up at the ceiling. You can look over that left arm. You can look wherever it is comfortable for you. Allowing yourself just to feel heavy here. Allowing the breath just to return to its normal rhythm. And then we'll go ahead, pull those knees up, uncross, and then just pull both legs into your chest for a second. Curl up into a little ball. We're back into that little curled up shape again. And then set yourself up for a Shavasana. You know, it might be nice to bring the soles of the feet together. Let your knees open up on blocks. I tend to like that for my Shavasana, but You could always just stick the legs out straight. A lot of people like this too. This is actually the traditional Shavasana shape. And the reason we like to take our Shavasana for a couple minutes is just to let all that work we did just kind of sink in and, spread through the body. I tend to think of it, almost like, you water a plant and then the water just kind of soaks through the soil. We kind of did that. That's not science. That's just metaphor. But, maybe there's some science there too, I think. Certainly it feels that way. So you can stay here in your Shavasana as long as you like. I usually recommend, 4 or 5 minute Shavasana, depending on how long the practice was. But hopefully that felt good for you. Again, one of the things that we all deal with because we live in the 21st century is we really do spend more time kind of curled in, compressed in the front, hunching than we might otherwise be spending our time. And so doing those back openings like that, the heart opening, little back bend work is really good for us. We want to keep things even, right? We don't want to just end up curled over, like a question mark. We want to be nice and straight, like an exclamation point. So, hope that worked out for you. If there's anything you want to see, just drop it anytime in the comments. I'll always check those out. I'm always looking for stuff that you want to do. If you liked the video, hit the like, hit the subscribe. That'll help other people find this content. And thanks for flowing with me. I hope to see you on the mat again.